Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Carolina Conversation. I'm your host, Shammond Williams, and today we're doing our Q&A with my producer, JK, UNC student, but more importantly, a Tar Heel family member. What's going on with you, JK? How you doing today?
Nothing much, man. Just grinding out these last couple of days of classes before Thanksgiving, and then we're ready to get that nice full plate.
No question, no question. We do have the holidays coming up, and we were able to catch some games by the Tar Heels this past weekend before the holidays. They had, they played some top 20 teams in Tennessee and Purdue, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit. We're gonna talk about those two games a little bit. So, what were your thoughts about the game?
I mean, it was obviously upsetting because we did go 0-2. The first game, I thought we showed some fight, and then the second game, a little bit more lopsided. But I just thought that the biggest problem that I saw, at least, was we give up way too many open 3-pointers. Like, we just give up a lot of threes, and obviously there's a lot more to it than that. But what was I guess one or two biggest things you saw over this weekend that you really think the guys need to improve on going into the game against Michigan and conference play?
Well, I think for me, it's being collective defensively and knowing how to help the helper and paying attention to what the biggest threats are. There's teams that have, there's things that they specifically do. And, you should, I'm not saying that Tar Heels didn't or wasn't trying that. You want to try to keep them from doing what they do best, make them find a different option. For years, I think that we know that the Tar Heels' Achilles heel has been giving up 3-point shooting. And so I think, there's some adjustments that need to be made. The game of basketball has evolved. And not just speaking about the Tar Heels, but the game in general has evolved. And so since you have more shooters on the floor, then you can't play the same common defense that was once played when I played, because you only had one or two shooters. Where now in the game you have, you may have 3 or 4 different shooters out there on the floor, similar to what the Tar Heels have on the floor themselves. And so it really comes down to saying, hey, you know what? How do we defend ourselves, especially when people are doing the same things that you're trying to do to them? There's always a tale to say, people that press don't like to be pressed. People that shoot the 3, allow people to shoot the 3. And so, I just don't know if that's the case with the Heels. But for me personally, I think you have to pay attention to the details and know what teams are trying to accomplish against you and try to take those things away. And then, at halftime, you make the adjustment on what's going your way or what's not going your way to try to get yourself a win.
Yeah, and that was the thing I noticed in the first game. We did an amazing job of taking Zach Edey out of the game. I mean, he didn't really do much against us, but then, we game planned on that and then kind of didn't adjust, stopping the 3 ball. And then kind of the same thing with Tennessee. They just came out firing, shot 45% from 3. But I do think that you made a really good point, and that's what we have. So, at least we'll be able to practice against that and make those adjustments, because we have so many guys that can shoot. Now, obviously, it's just hard to do this when you take, 2 losses in a weekend. But what were a couple of things you saw this weekend that you were like, that's still a bright spot, that's something that looked good and is something that we'll build on and continue to get better at as the season progresses?
Well, I mean, if you look at offensively, we were able to do some things collectively as a team. I mean, you saw different people step up at different times in those 2 games, which said, hey, you know what? okay, you know, these players are capable of doing certain things individually that can help us at certain times in games. Be it that you need a score, you need a low post touch, or you need a pick and pop. You know, you have some people that can do some certain things at certain times that can benefit you. The one thing that I would like to see is all of those guys doing those things collectively at the same time, where it's an engine and it's not okay. Well, this person plays good when this person doesn't play well, or you know, it's either or, and I think that takes some time to figure out, you know, who does what at what, you know, at what time, and trying to put those guys in a position that they can collectively be those threats offensively. Defensively, I'm hoping that, you know, guys will be able to tighten the screws throughout games and make people fear you defensively. I mean, it's one thing to be a great offensive team, but you know, the games and championships are won of defense, you know, defensively. So I think, you know, I'm looking forward to those guys getting on the same page collectively, to help one another, to stop opposing teams from being able to execute how they want to, and I think that'd be beneficial to the Heels moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of the mindset I have, at least, is like, you know, we've obviously seen that there's been talent. We've already had like 5 different guys score 20 plus points this year. Like, but it's a new team. You added the transfers, you know, you got a new coach. Like it's a whole new group. So, I mean, I definitely think that like the only thing that they're going to do throughout the course of this year is just continue to get better. Cause I mean, they definitely have the talent. And I think my last question to you would be, you know, we're 5 games into the season, 3-2, got a
Mhm.
couple really big games in non-conference before we go into ACC play. So through 5 games, what are your initial thoughts on just the team in general and how much different things have looked with under Hubert Davis?
Well, the team looks relatively good. I think that they're buying in to what Coach Davis is allowing them to do. You see that it's a different style of play, with the floor being spaced, but they're still getting up and down the floor. Um, you're beginning to see some individual skill within that, where it seems as if Hubert's using the execution factor in some of the things that he's doing to get people the basketball at certain places where they could be more efficient. You know, I think the guys are playing, you know, at a tempo where they're able to read. You know, there's more read and react to this way that they're playing now, as opposed to things being dictated. And so, you know, they're able to find different places on the floor where they can be aggressive and create shots for others and themselves. So that's good, because you know, when you start talking about the development of the student athlete, you want to make sure whatever you're teaching them translates to the next level that they're trying to you know, trying to be a part of. And I think that the way that they're playing now, you know, it strengthens you know, strengthens the opportunity for them to read the floor and you know, read what the defense is doing and make plays according to that. As you know, it's more abstract, as opposed to being more of a science. And so hopefully, you know, the kids they'll get better at reading certain defenses and how things are being done, and capitalize more offensively. But hopefully they use that strength defensively as well to read what other teams are doing against them.
Yep. And I mean, I agree. I definitely like, I'm not panicking or anything. You know, they played 2 good teams. It's only going to make them better. I still think we're going to be good. When
Oh yeah.
it's all said and done, we get into ACC play. I really like this team. They can freaking score the basketball like crazy. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the questions I got for you.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always great to do Q&A with you. Thank you for listening to the Carolina Conversation Q&A. And up next, you'll have one of Carolina's great, Luke Maye.
Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for BetRivers yet, now is the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the scorer's table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
And we have one of the Carolina greats with us today. He hails from Cornelius, North Carolina. He came to the University of North Carolina in 2015, but he's also an academic All-American. He was also an ACC MVP. He's also a 2017 NCAA champion. And a lot of you know him for the shot, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the Luke Maye.
Thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to getting on with you. And I've listened to some of the other guys on here on your podcast, man. Been looking forward to get on here with you. So I'm excited.
Man, well, I would like to say thank you for taking the time. For those who don't know, Luke is currently playing in Manresa in the League ACB in Spain, a great place, a great league. And he took the time to spend with us this afternoon, which is late for him, but we're going to get into all those things, man. But how are you doing, Luke? How are you doing? How's the season going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This is my second year in Europe.
Right.
Played in Italy. But I'm liking it this year, man. It's different, just being in Carolina for 4 years. Like right. Every year you kind of are able to like mold your game and like the coaches get more familiar with you. And as I'm seeing in professional basketball, like every year is a new year and you kind of got to prove yourself at the beginning of every year. And like there are going to be some ups and downs and the game flows and rhythm and things like that. But I'm just trying to continue to work on my game, continue to get better. And I've had some good games. We've won 5 games in a row. So we've been playing better. And we're, I think, like right around like 11-4, I think. So we've had some good games and hopefully keep it going.
Right. And so, for those who don't know, the ACB is the best basketball league outside of the NBA. And some would say a lot of teams in the ACB could play in the NBA as well. I'm familiar with the ACB as I played in Spain and Barcelona and Valencia and Malaga and I actually have a home there in Valencia. I actually personally like Europe better than I like the NBA. And so, you having the background of playing in the NBA as well and playing in Europe, but this is your second year in Europe. How are you adjusting, or what do you notice that's the difference between the two, the NBA and playing in Europe in that league?
I was only with the Bucks for the training camp, and then I played in the G League for that season, and it got cut short because of COVID. But I think the NBA is definitely, it's a lot more, in my opinion, a lot better athletes and a lot better one-on-one players. But then when you come to Europe, it's really like a team game and much more like a college feel, in my opinion, because you also got. It's harder to score in Europe because you don't got defensive 3 seconds, so guys can just sit and paint, which it makes it easier defensively, but offensive, people just pack it in, and you just really got to be able to shoot it, and that's why thankfully I've gotten 2 really good jobs in Europe my first 2 years, because I'm able to stretch the floor, I'm able to shoot it, and I'm pretty versatile, and I continue to try to get better, but European game is a lot different also with the fans. The fans, this is my year with fans, because last year we didn't have fans. And fans really, it's like college in that sense. Yeah. The fans booing you on away games and rocking at home games. It's a lot of fun. So it makes it hard being away from my family, but you kind of get a second family, kind of like I had at Carolina as well.
Yeah. It was some interesting things that you said right there. Hopefully people will take those things that you're saying, especially about how difficult the game is. I've always tried to explain to people when they say, okay, I'm just going to go to Europe. I'm like, it's not as easy as you think it is, especially when you're playing at the level that you're playing at. You're playing a college game with really great professional players. And that's what makes it extremely difficult, but it raises your aptitude of the game as well, which I really liked, which helps me now in coaching. And so, with that being said, I have noticed that your game has transpired. It's gone on to a great level. I had an opportunity to play with you this summer, up in the hill, and I had Armando on here. In the ACC tournament, I think he said, we play against the pros and we win all the time. And when I had him on, I said, well, Armando, I understand you said you win, but what are you referring to? Yeah, he said, oh, yeah, I forgot about the day that you and Luke and those guys were there and so on and so forth. And I really enjoyed playing with you, having an opportunity to play with you. And, we were able to get some wins in that day.
I've always used to play against you, and everybody come on back and get all the calls, which is how it should be, So you still playing at your age, man. You were getting buckets and setting me up for shots. That's just what's so great about. I was talking to my dad the other day. Every summer, I always have a place to go back to, And
no question.
Thing is, when I was in school with you and T. Hands and Jawad Williams, Deion Thompson, Tyler Zeller, all coming back. It just showed me, I always got a place to go back to, and it makes me want to go back, because it's great runs and a lot of good people, which is the most important thing,
No question. And so before we get into you right quick, you did speak about your father, awesome guy, the dude. I like calling him the dude. How's your father doing, man? How's he doing?
He's good, man. He's good. He's him and my mom are empty nesters now because my youngest brother is a freshman at Carolina playing football.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about him a little bit.
They're on the road a lot, traveling his games, and now with Sam getting hurt, he's gonna have a chance to get some time as a freshman and kind of show what he can do. So my parents are a little bit more nervous these days, but they're good. My dad's good. He's just same old. You know how it go.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Luke's dad is one of the greats in Carolina as well, and he set the bar high, set that bar high for his sons when they came to the University of North Carolina. And so, with that being said, in 2015, 14, 15. There's a kid down in Cornelius playing some basketball and doing some great things, being recruited, at all levels. What made Luke Maye come to the University of North Carolina?
Man, that's a great question. And I mean, I get asked all the time. Like, I had opportunities to really play anywhere in the ACC. It offers from Clemson and Virginia, Notre Dame, NC State, and Virginia Tech, and I could go on any of those places. But I was always holding out because my mom went to Carolina, my dad played football at Carolina, as you just said. So I was always hoping, like, later in my recruitment, maybe Coach Williams would maybe see me play, give me a shot, or and I'd go to like games, and I went to their camp, the summer camp, from 8th grade until 10th grade. So 3 years, and played in the pros, the highest level every year, just hoping like he would see me and, just trying to show what I can do. And I mean, I wasn't ranked really high, and I didn't feel like maybe I had the chance to play here, but I mean, I knew I could play in the ACC. So I just kept on working, and Coach McGrath came and watched me play my high school game one time. And then Coach Williams saw me play over the summer, and he always said, Luke, you're a really good player. Maybe just don't commit too early. We might have an opportunity for you to play here. And it was getting later and later, and I was basically down to Clemson, Virginia, and Davidson. And Davidson was school right close to my house. Coach McKillop's coach, and I really thought I was gonna go to Davidson, and I just, in the back of my mind, I really wanted to play in the ACC. And Coach Williams called, like in July, late July, after the live period, and said, Luke, I mean, we've seen you play, and we really like you, but we just don't have a scholarship. But we'd love for you to come as a preferred walk-on and be a part of our team, and you'd get same treatment as everybody else, and you wouldn't be viewed as a walk-on, but we just don't have a scholarship available. I was like, I appreciate it, Coach. I'll kind of see what the rest of the summer holds, and maybe I'll take you up on that. And it gets to like September, October, and I told my parents, Mom and Dad, like, I really want to play in the NBA. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. And if I go to Carolina and play well, that's my best chance. I'll play against the best every day. And I had scholarship offers from other ACC schools, but Carolina's the best, and it's where I feel like I wanted to go. And like you said at the very beginning, I mean, education was huge for me, and for my dad to both graduate from there, I mean, it was a great education. And I knew if basketball didn't work out, I had a great education from a great university. And so it was a win-win for me. And even though I didn't have a scholarship, I trusted Coach Williams, and I said, Coach, I want to play for you, and I want to be the best basketball player I can be. And that was that. And I know it's a long answer, but that's
it's a great answer, because a lot of people don't know. Only us that that been around and interacted with you over the years, we get a chance we understand that. And this is a great way for you to get your story out, for people to know about you. And I'm glad that you spoke on that, because I'm gonna circle back on that later on in the interview. And so it's interesting also that you said that you didn't, there was no pressure from your parents about you attending the University of North Carolina. Having, like having your father be, one of the greatest, you know what I mean? And then your mom also graduates. There was never any conversation about, you going to North Carolina, or in your dad, your dad's such an awesome dude, he relaxed, just seems laid back. It seems like, it seemed like he probably never even talked about it, or didn't even want to press you in that regard.
And that's what, my parents have been the backbone of all my big decisions, throughout my life. They've told me since I was young, they give me advice, but they want me to make my decisions for myself. And they'll support me, whatever I decide, but they give their advice. And then they say, Luke, you smart young man. You can make your own decision, and we want you to do what's best for you. And I've really respected that. And that's something that I'll take. And when I have kids, I'll use that same motto, because when you make them a decision, if your parents are making you lean one way or the other and it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, you're always blaming them, whereas
no question.
Your own decision is on you. And it just makes you want to work harder when it's not going well to kind of push through, because it was the decision you made, and you don't want people to be like, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that, because it's a bad reflection on you, So right. I think my whole high school year, my senior year, everybody's in the student sections of where he played, chanting walk on, and I'm dominating games, and they're being like, you won't play at North Carolina, things like that.
That is.
Everybody thought my mom and dad pushed me to go there, when it was me who decided to go there, because, like I said, I want to be the best player I can be and to play in the NBA. And I felt like Carolina gave me the best opportunity to do that, because going in as a freshman, I would play against All-American Bryce Johnson, All-ACC player Kennedy Meeks, Joel James, Isaiah Hicks. And if I didn't play in games, I'm basically playing against the best in the ACC today. So,
right.
What place to go and get better than to go there,
No question. And so after making that choice and finishing your high school season, then coming in the summertime, as a freshman, let people know, you laugh, how was that transition, man? Coming for class and then hitting that court, man, with the pros and everybody coming back, and you're playing against your current teammates. How was that environment for you? How was that adjustment?
Yeah, it was a huge adjustment. And like everybody says, when you're coming from high school to college and then college to pros, it's always, you're going from the top of the totem pole to the bottom.
Right.
I walk in, obviously I was top player in North Carolina, and I come in, and I think, I'm going to at least get some opportunities, like during the summer, during practice. And as Shammond knows, Shammond's laughing as well, freshmen don't play really ever during the summer, and pick up in the camp game, never. So I can't, my classmate Kenny Williams, we were the only two in our class, and we're just sitting on the side the entire pickup for hour and a half, 2 hours, getting our shots up before and after, because we got to get some work in, but just not getting any run. And we're over there, and I'm a freshman, and we're watching Shammond and Rasheed Wallace and Raymond Felton. I think HB came back once or twice. Tyler Hansborough and all these pros walking in. And we're like, man, I might get a chance today. And it never happened. So, but I think maybe I got maybe 2 or 3 in that summer, and probably we played pickup almost every other night. Just 3-4 times a week for 9-10 weeks, and no minutes. So as a freshman, high school, playing, starting, getting the ball in my hands every play, to maybe getting on the court. And when I do get on the court, maybe touching the ball maybe 4 or 5 times. It was a big adjustment, and you really had to get your work in on your own and really try to stay ready and really kind of be as the best player you can be in the time you were given, and that's what kind of makes Carolina so special. It's because like you really got to try to earn your time, and you got to really, especially as a freshman, you got to make sure people see you rather than kind of them looking out for you,
Right. That's awesome. Because as they know, if they listen to the podcast and everybody that talks, that's just part of who Carolina basketball and what Carolina basketball is. Every freshman goes through that, but it builds character, and there's always a greater story in the end. So playing your freshman year, being in the ACC, how was that environment for you? Maybe not getting to play as much as you would have hoped to play. Yeah. How was that for you, putting those things together?
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, I averaged right around, I think, 6-7 minutes a game, played in almost 3/4 of the games. We had a great team. Like I said, I mentioned with the big we had, and then with Marcus Page and Joel Berry, Justin Jackson. And we just had a lot of great players. And it was a great team to be a part of because we were winning games and it made practice a lot easier. But like you said, like in sports in general, you just want to play. You want to be a part of it. You want to feel like you are contributing to the success and contributing to kind of the like good feelings that the team is having. And to not really get much time was difficult. And I mean, I worked on my game. I consider myself a hard worker, and I try to kind of make, and like my dad said, I mean, you talked about my dad playing in North Carolina and having a brief stint in the NFL, but he always used to say when I come back from practice my freshman year and be like, Dad, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna play much. I'm not gonna get into many games. Like, Luke, I remember vividly, he said, you got to make the practices your games.
Your games. That's right.
You have to make them feel like you're playing balls out, because you're not going to play much. So you might as well play as hard as you can in practice. And if the older guys get mad at you, you can't worry about it. You gotta do you, and you gotta make practices your games. And if you still don't play much, you still don't play much. But at least you're giving everything you got. And I mean, still use that to this day. I mean, and as you get older, your body starts to kind of makes it a little bit harder to give everything you got every day. But I mean, it's the truth. Like, if you're not happy with something going on and you're not getting the minutes you want in the game, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do better? Maybe in practice, maybe outside of practice, extra shots, things like that. And that was huge for me. And also, I will say, and a lot of people don't know this, and I mean, they're probably still wondering why Coach Williams did this, but Coach Williams is somebody who, he's maybe, in my opinion, the best guy in developing talent, best coach in developing talent that I've ever seen, ever been around. And in instance, for me, I wasn't going to play much. I knew I wasn't going to play much, but he still gave me opportunities. Like, we're playing, I remember very first Duke Carolina game, we're playing at home, and it's like 4 or 5 minutes left in the first half, and he puts me in. And I'm like, did he call my name? And
right.
I up in for Bryce, and I think I got a rebound, and I tried to take a charge on Marshall Plumlee, and they didn't call it, dunked on me. But I mean, he gave me opportunity in my first ever Carolina Duke game for like 2-3 minutes just to give Bryce a break. And I'm like, and Bryce doesn't need a break. Bryce is good.
Right, right.
So, he showed that like my practice had warranted the opportunity to play in this game. And then again, against Virginia had Anthony Gill and London Perantes, Malcolm Brogdon, and he put me in the first half, 2-3 minutes, brief minutes, but he showed that he trusts me and he can put me in big games. And he wanted me to succeed, and he thought I could help the team. And that maybe didn't show people like, man, Luke can't play here or whatever. Like maybe Coach Williams wasn't looking at like how I would do, but just showing that he believed. And I think that really made an effect on me for not the next year, but definitely the years to come, because I mean, he believed in me and he thought I could help. And that was huge for me. And I didn't probably see it then, but looking back, I mean, if that's not developing players, then I don't know what is, because the big thing in basketball and in any profession is having trust and having confidence in yourself. And Coach Williams instilled that in his players every day. And that was huge for me.
Yeah, that's big time statement. And so you finish your freshman year, you go into your sophomore year, team has grown a little bit, situations change a little bit. How was that sophomore season for you at the University of North Carolina? How was that? I mean,
so you brushed past losing a national championship, which makes it really
I was gonna let you talk about it. Maybe I said, you know what? Maybe he doesn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that was
a lot of times
as a freshman, but incredible. I mean, even not playing, I mean, just the atmosphere, being a part of it, and then losing was just devastating. And everybody was asking me how I felt. And I mean, how you think I felt? I mean, we lost the biggest game in any college basketball player's life. And I mean, just to be there was great, but to lose that game was just excruciating. And I mean, that summer, I mean, I'm sure you've had guys talk about it on here when we just kept saying, I mean, Justin Jackson, Joel Berry, they had chances to go to NBA. Katie Meeks, Isaiah Hicks, but they all came back because they knew we could have another chance. And we called that year the redemption year. And we that summer I worked out every day with my roommate Justin Jackson. We worked out sometimes twice a day, like you talked about earlier. Basketball, man, it's about work. I mean, you got to put in the sweat and put in the work. And we worked out together, getting shots up, pushing each other. And I mean, it was the best thing that could happen for me, And going into my sophomore year, I mean, we were preseason top 5. We had everybody back, but I mean, losing Bryce, who's all-American, Marcus, all-American, Joel James, who's a really good player off the bench. I mean, it was going to be tough, but we knew we had great pieces. And we lose the very first ACC game. And at Georgia Tech, it was rough, but we stuck by each other. And like you said, I got more opportunity. I was able to get more minutes. I was backing up Isaiah Hicks, so coming off the bench, and gave good minutes, and had a couple good games. I think had like 10-12 against Wake Forest, 10-12 against but just putting blocks down, building confidence, building step. We were winning games. I think we lost like 4 or 5 regular season games, and we're looking good. And going into the ACC tournament, we're the favorite, I think, us and Virginia. And we go and we lose to Duke with Luke Kennard and Jason Tatum and a lot of really good players. And we go in up in New York and Brooklyn, and we're like, hey, we all we got to do now is win 6 games. That's it. We got to win 6 games. And we rolled the first game, and second game we played Arkansas, and I had a solid game, and we were down at the end, towards the end, and Justin makes a huge save and a dunk, and Isaiah makes a big play, and we end up squeaking by that game, and then we get to Memphis.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
That was a little coming out party for me, which was a lot of fun. And we're playing Butler, and all week practice. I'm playing scout team, and I'm playing really, really well. And going into the game, I had a lot of confidence. And Isaiah gets a couple fouls early, and coach puts me in, and I made a couple shots and ended up getting my first double-double in the NCAA tournament. So that was nice. Got to win by 15, and we go and we play Kentucky in Elite Eight, and we played them earlier in the year in Vegas, and I think it was like 103 to 100. Crazy game, and I played solid that game too. I had like 10 points, 5 or 6 rebounds, so I had some confidence going in, and I just like I said again, Isaiah got a couple fouls, and I hit my first 2 threes, got a big dunk down the lane, got more confident, and then towards the end of the second half, the game was close.
Yep.
I hit a three, got an N1, and we're up by like 5 or 6. And then all of a sudden you blink and we're down 5 or 6, and then we make a little run, and then Malik Monk hits a big 3 and over my head. And I was like, damn, that was a huge shot. And then I like you talked about, I mean, at Carolina, Coach Williams just preaches all the time. You gotta run. You gotta run the fast break. We play fast. You gotta run. So I just ran and got the pass from Theo and knocked down the shot, man. And the rest is history. Everybody asks me what my favorite moment at Carolina is, and they always expect me to say the shot, but I always tell them the shot means nothing if we don't go on and win.
Right.
Because if we win in the Elite Eight, lose in the Final Four, losing out championship, then like nobody really would remember my shot. But because we win it, in my opinion, it makes it a lot bigger deal. And I think that's just the great thing about Coach Williams. Again, I mean, I speak on it again because, like I said, Isaiah Hicks was starting that year, and he had a great year. But against Kentucky, I mean, he could have put Isaiah back in there at the end, but he saw I was making shots, I was playing well, and he rode with me because he had confidence in me and he trusted me. And man, I think that speaks to the type of coach Coach Williams was, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, just confidence and trust in his players, and that's what makes him such a great coach. But we won a national championship, and it's the best any college basketball player could have. And I mean, we'll remember that for forever, and we'll that bond as a team. And I mean, we still talk about it. I call Justin and Kenny, who are probably my 2 closest friends off that team, all the time. And we talk about how lucky we are to have a family like Carolina, but then also be at an even smaller family for national champions. You know, it's just really...
Yeah. I mean, being a national champion, man, is, you know, like I've said this, you know, repeatedly in the podcast. You know, if there was one thing that I could change about my experience at Carolina, because everything was so great, you know, I would trade all those Final Fours in for a national championship. And I think it's an awesome thing for you to be a part of that national championship team in the role you played. You know, I'm always excited when Carolina wins the national championship. But being there in Memphis, being there in that run and watching how that game was played and watching how you were you were coming to light and being a person that people began to respect and expect things from. I really, really enjoyed that because it kind of simulated, my career. But we'll talk about that a little later. But I know you may not think the shot was important, but, sitting there and watching it myself, watching how that game was played, and then to watch how, Theo pushed the basketball and he kicked it, and just standing there, and I was like, that's going to go in, and you shot it. And you're looking, from where we were at, and I look and I tell my brother, I said, that's going in. And boom! It was just like pandemonium, you know what I mean? It was like, I think that that is something that a lot of Carolina, our family, would consist of not only just the players, but the student body, the fans, everybody that supports Carolina, the Carolina family, they all know how important that shot was. And so, like you said before, without that shot, there is no national championship. And so it's great that it was fitting that an individual like yourself was able to be put in that position and have that opportunity, and more important, capitalize off of it. So, man, that was big time. That was big time. Yeah. And so being a part of that national championship team, and then having those guys exit to go on to the NBA, now you're in that leadership role. For so many years, you've been able to be a person that follows. Now it's an opportunity for you to lead. Tell us about that next season for you.
Yeah, I mean, like all players want more. I don't know a great way to put it. They want to have a bigger role. They want more responsibility, and they want more opportunity to, like I mentioned earlier, to be a reason for the team's success. And Coach Williams, in the exit interviews after we won national championship, he said to me, Luke, we're losing 5-6 guys either to graduation or the NBA. We're going to need you to step up. We're going to need you to be a big-time player for us. And I said, Coach, I'm ready. And we missed out on a couple 5-star recruits, and we got Coach Williams had me starting at the 4, and I was prepared. I worked all summer, and I was ready to dominate. And I came out and had 3-4 20-point games in a row, and felt good, and kept building confidence throughout that whole year. And we had a really good team. We lost some games, so we had some injuries, but we had a really good team with Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, myself, Cam Johnson coming from Pitt. I mean, we had a really good. We had injuries, and it created a lot of more up and down season for us. And we still got a 2 seed in the tournament, and we felt like we had as good a chance as anybody to make a great run again. And we played in my hometown in Charlotte, and then the round of 32, we got pummeled by Texas A&M, which was really, really take. But during that year, I mean, it taught me a lot just about kind of the group we had, just battling through adversity, battling through injuries. And I mean, it taught a lot about myself. I mean, going from the year before, like you said, being a little bit more of a reserve and kind of to one of the top players in the country, averaging 17 and 10, and just basically doing my best to bring it every single night. And the ACC, in my opinion, to this day is the best conference in basketball. And
no question.
To do that every night, I mean, and to compete at the highest level is what I came to North Carolina for. And it's what I dreamed of as a kid. And to see that coming true was huge for me. And but I mean, to lose in an NCAA tournament was heartbreaking, and to kind of have first 2 years of going to a national championship, and then to kind of be in, like you said, more of a leadership role and fall short. I mean, I took a lot of that kind of on my shoulders because I felt like we had a good team and we were good enough to go further, and we hit a roadblock. And I mean, that made it difficult, but like in basketball, and that's why they call it March Madness, any team can play well one given night. So you got to bring it every night, and to go down how we did was tough, but fortunately, I had another year and set up for a great senior year. But I mean, my junior year was great, and like what you said, being more of a leader and having more of an opportunity to grow into the player I wanted to become, and that's kind of what kind of put me on the national stage, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It's really good for those kids, because a lot of times kids, they only see the people that they see at certain times, and it's usually difficult or hard for them to follow people's progression. And I always say you have to identify with who you are and know who you are and be okay with that path. And just because you don't start where everybody starts doesn't mean that you're not going to finish where they finished. And and so here it is, going into your senior season, your last year at the University of North Carolina. Coming from the kid that was a preferred walk on to a UNC star. Talk to us about that senior season, man.
Yeah, we were preseason number 6. We had a lot of hype around us. Me, Cam Johnson, and Kenny Williams were the 3 seniors, 3 leaders, and we come out and we play, I think, at home against Wofford, and that was the year before. I'm getting the years mixed up. I think year before we lost to Wofford. That year we started out the year, we played Wofford at Wofford and beat them. And we had a good group. I mean, we had Kobe White, Nasir Little, Leahy Black, 3 really, really talented freshmen. We had Garrison Brooks and Sterling Manley, Brandon Robinson. We had a lot of good pieces, and we rolled through the ACC, except for Virginia. I think we lost 3 games, and we lost once to Virginia, and I think we tied with Virginia in the for the ACC title. And then we playing in I think we were playing in New York again, and we're playing Duke. And earlier that year, Zion, who's the great freshman, and RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, they had a great team. But we're playing at Duke, and all week we're talking about how Zion's really, really great player, and I'm gonna guard him. And I mean, everybody's talking about the matchup all week, and I mean, it's just another game. You got to go out. And I played against great players before, like I mentioned at the beginning of my freshman year. I played against incredible players at Carolina, and then played against incredible players in the ACC. And then Zion's a great player, but I mean, I had confidence in myself, and I was ready to go. And come to find out, Barack Obama's at the game, and I mean, puts a little bit more pressure on the game. But I mean, I was ready to go, and then 30 seconds in, he goes down with knee injury, blows through his shoe. I get the steal, pass it to Cam for a layup, but end up having 30 and 15 that game. Really big game, and But I mean, that was a big highlight because I mean, all the pictures of Zion going down, you see me in the background getting the steal. And then later that week, I think that weekend, maybe the next weekend, we play NC State at NC State. And I had 30 and 15 again, and I was really starting to come back to kind of where I was at the year before, because my senior year was up and down with injuries, and I missed 1 or 2 games, but I started to get healthier and started to play well, and we were playing well as a group. We were starting to mesh at the right time, and then come to the ACC tournament, we lose on a last-second shot by Zion by 1 point, and then going into the tournament, we were number 1 seed. We were playing in Columbus, Ohio, and win our first 2 games pretty handily, like 15 or 20. And we're playing Auburn in the Sweet 16 in Kansas City, and we're down by 5 or 6. And then again, we had a couple injuries. Cam was sick, and so was Nasir before the game. But that's just how, like I mentioned just a minute ago, in the NCAA tournament, they don't care about injuries. They don't care about sickness. It's 1 game and you're out. So they play their best. But, I mean, we ran to an Auburn team who was really, really hot. And we were down by 5 or 6 right before the half. And they hit 3 threes in a row. Down by, I think, 13, 14. And we could just never get back. So, lost to Auburn. They go on and almost beat Virginia, who ended up winning that year. But the tough loss. We ran into a really hot team, and to kind of like I mentioned before, just to have that going to 2 national championships and then getting bounced a little early kind of always hangs over my head a little bit. Just because I always think kind of what I could have done more, could I worked harder, could I had better performances and bigger games. But that summer, I mean, Coach Williams, I mean, in the exit interview, Coach Williams just told me, Luke, there are always going to be people who look back and are like, I've done this, I've done that. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, it's not about what you could have done, but what you did do. And my time at Carolina, and I mean, a lot of people could say this who have been there, but I mean, my time was incredible. And I couldn't have asked for a better 4 years. And even the way it ended wasn't the way I wanted it, but it was a great, great career for me. And it was a great career for North Carolina basketball. And that's what's most important to me. You know, me and Kenny talk all the time about us 2 coming in as freshmen, not very highly recruited. We missed on a lot of top guys because we were going through a lot of academic stuff. And it was hard for Coach Williams to kind of get people to come because they're worried that we might get suspended or put on probation. But Kenny and I trusted Coach, and we ended up having, I think, the 2nd or 3rd most wins in a 4-year span of like 128 or 9. And I mean, me and Kenny were just so thankful that Coach Williams gave us an opportunity. And for me, most importantly, I mean, I can't thank Coach enough for giving me a chance to live out a dream that I was pushing off, hoping that I could maybe get a chance to play at North Carolina, to have it work out and be able to be a part of the team, but not only be a part of the team, but be a inspirational and really influential player to one of the greatest programs in the country is something that I could never have dreamed of. You know? And we talked a lot about confidence. And I mean, I truly believe that the more confidence you have, the better you will play. Because I mean, it just makes the basket bigger. It makes you not think as much. And I think that was huge for me. And just Coach Williams continued to give me confidence, continue to trust in me. And I mean, it was a really, really great experience I had at Carolina, not only because of my performance, but of how we played as a team. And also, like you mentioned, the relationships I built. I mean, I talk about Justin. We talk all the time. The managers. I mean, I'm really close with the managers we had. And I mean, just the players. I mean, I didn't even play with you. And I feel like I'm for 15, 20 years, and just got to come back. And I mean, I work out every summer with Joao Williams. And I mean, he's, I think, almost like 15 years older than I am, and he treats me as a best friend. And then Deion Thompson, who we talked about, he's 2 hours away. I texted another day. I mean, he said, if I'm ever nearby, just stop by. I mean, he's another guy. He's 12 years older than me, but will always be like family. And that's just kind of what you talked about. And my career was great on the court, but it was more important to me the things that happened off the court and the relationships I built and the opportunity I have to, like you said, be a part of a family that has so many great people, not only in basketball, but the fans and the coaches and the students. I mean, it was a great experience, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you really brought it home, man. I mean, you really are a great example for most, for sure, for all, but most individuals that feel like they can't, they don't belong and having to fight through something. I mean, that's why I always really liked you. I felt like when you came to North Carolina, you were kind of like a young Shammond Williams in regards to, people not thinking that you would be able to play there. Having to play with other great players and find your niche. Having to outwork, your other teammates that may have been blessed with some talent and athletic ability or height and things like that you weren't. Being able to accept your role, but not only accept your role, but be impactful in your role, knowing that God permitting everything that you are, everything that you were working for would give you an opportunity to succeed and to show. And I could always kind of feel that, see that, when you were young. I could see, I said, like it wasn't that you didn't want to play, in the summertime. It was just, that was just the rules and you had to wait your turn. But you were always pushing the envelope to try to get on. You would always, whatever, you were capable of doing, a lot of times you would be selfless in that role. I remember times people would say, Luke, you got to shoot that. You would just catch it and reverse it or pass it. Like, hey, man, you got to shoot that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that you weren't comfortable. It was that you wanted to play your role. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And it was great to see you begin to understand that, you know what? My role is to be the guy. And not less, and seeing you walk into that role prepared, but begin to understand, hey, you know what? It's okay to be the guy. Yep. It's okay to let my work speak for itself. And that's the things that I really liked. And you've always been a selfless individual because you didn't speak about something that I thought that you would speak about. That it's interesting that I happened to be there. Your ACC MVP.
I didn't win the ACC MVP.
I thought they gave you the MVP.
I won the most improved player.
Okay, the most improved player. That's it, man. The most improved player. All right.
Yeah.
The most improved player. Like man, that there is like people saying, hey, you know what? He's arrived.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
and you know, like I was just like, for me, like, it's always great when people appreciate you, especially when you know, when you started at a certain level. You know what I mean? Right. And that's what kind of like I've always like admired you, because I consider you, and I always, you know, sometimes you may hear me say it or not, but I consider you an earner. And that's not saying anything about anybody else. But I consider you an earner. And there's a few of us, you know, that I like to, you know, that I consider us to be earners, because, you know, we had to earn everything that we got. And that's not saying that nobody else did, but everybody knows that our circumstances were a lot different than others. And that builds a different type of character. That builds a different type of individual. And it's so rewarding. You know, and like I said, I played 15, 20 years before you. For me, it's so rewarding when people acknowledge it. That's for great. Me. You know what I mean? I you know, and that's, you know, that for me, it was just the best thing to see people, you know, really appreciate what you brought to the table and what you were doing. And being able to have you on this podcast, for those that only, you know, I always say they only look at the movie. You know, they see Luke Maye's movie. They see his movie, but they don't understand the production. And the production is what most kids need to hear. Because like you said before, there's going to be times it doesn't go your way. There's going to be times that you're going to have to fight through some adversity. There's going to be some times that you're going to have to focus on something other than just the now. Like you said, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to play at the highest level. So your focus wasn't just on the now. It was, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this decision because it's going to benefit me, you know, 5 years from now. You're right. And so, you know, that shows a lot of wisdom for somebody that makes that decision at 18. And so, you know, hopefully, you know, this resonates with, you know, the part of our Carolina family that, you know, that may not be getting there, as they say, quote unquote, roses today. You know, hopefully it resonates, because for me, you're the type of individual that I would like to coach. You know, those are the people that, you know, it makes the story so much better in the end.
And as you mentioned, fighting adversity, I think nowadays, and no offense to the players now, but I just think with the new transfer rule and being able to play right away, it just makes it easier to kind of avoid adversity and being able to jump ship and go somewhere where you think might be better and be able to play earlier, or be able to sometimes, and like in my situation and many others, it's better in the long term for you to stick through something, and maybe an injury happens, maybe somebody has problems kind of picking up the offense. I mean, anything, you never know what the future holds, but all you can control is your preparation and your work. And I think that's what really showed kind of through my story, through your story. And I mean, it's like my dad and my grandfather, my mom, they always said, you just got to have that chip on your shoulder, and you got to play with that chip. And
that's right.
If you jump ship, if you try to find somewhere else that you think might be better, I mean, you don't really have that chip, because you haven't really experienced frustration, experienced those nights where you're laying in bed thinking, is this it for me? Is this the right place for me? What can I do? I mean, you don't have that self-reflection if you just try to go somewhere else. So I think that really was very important in my story of kind of having that frustration and those difficult questions for myself early in my career, because it made me work harder and it made me a better player.
Yep. And the one thing that it resonates in whatever you do. I say it permeates in whatever you do because it's a part of you. I know you don't have any issues with those 2-a-day practice there because working is just part of who you are. It's not going to change. Like I tell my children, I said, I work hard in everything I do. When you see Daddy washing dishes, I'm working hard. I work hard at it. You don't know anything else. I mean, my student athletes, the young ladies, they see me in the gym working out. It's like, Coach, you still no, I don't know anything. I don't know anything else. And so it breeds a certain type of character. And for myself, that's why, I always champion Luke Maye, because he's that example that fits the criteria that Shammond Williams likes. I love those type of people because we don't have to say much. We understand each other when we see each other. You know what I mean? And man, I for myself, I'm so proud of you. Man, you are somebody that I hold in high regard. You're my little brother. I love you. I mean, you're just a great example for what we are as a program. And our program has different type of individuals. And the greatest thing about that is when those kids come, they have a great line of people that they can identify with. And it fits everybody from every walks of life with every type of talent. But, the focus is, just making sure that you're the best you that you can be. And I promise you this, if I hadn't told you anything, when it's time for you to stop playing, whatever, when that, 15 years from now, when you choose to stop playing, the greatest part about who you are and what you are, you'll be able to walk away from it knowing that you've given it everything that you can possibly give.
You're exactly right. And I appreciate you saying that, Shammond. And like you said, I mean, it's been a really, really cool experience to be able to get to know people like you and being able to chop it up and have great conversation and learn and be able to become a better player because of people like yourself and many others pouring into the younger generation. And that's what I hope I can do to some of the younger players and continue to play this game, hopefully for a long time. But once I'm done, I mean, I'm very blessed to have been given a great opportunity to play this game, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds.
No question. Well, I have one more question for you. It's the big question right here now. A lot of people, like this one right here now, it makes you think a little bit now. It makes you think. When it's all said and done, what would you like the people that support the University of North Carolina to know and to say about Luke Maye?
I want them to know that I'm a kid from a small town in North Carolina who grew up wanting to play basketball in North Carolina and did everything and anything he could to achieve that dream. But once he got there, he wanted to be the best version of himself he could be, because growing up and watching people like Shammond Maye and Raymond Felton, and sorry I didn't get to watch you play. Tyler Hansborough, Deion Thompson. I mean, I wanted to be the person that young kids saw like I did and inspire them to play basketball at the University of North Carolina. And I just want them to know that whatever you dream and whatever you want to do with your life, all it is work. And that's what I believed in. And I had people in my corner who believed in me. And at the end of the day, you are the one to make things happen. Your mom and dad, your brothers, your friends, they can support you. They can help you, the resources, things like that. But you wake up in the morning, you can work out or you can sleep. I mean, you make the decisions. And I just want people to know that I grew up wanting to play basketball in Carolina. And once I got there, I wanted to be even better because I didn't want to settle. And I have always been somebody who gives 100% anything they do, whether that's sports, like you said, academics. I mean, I never made anything less than a B at North Carolina. And I pride myself in doing everything I could to get good grades. And that's just kind of the person I am and who I want people to remember me as.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, Luke, man, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much, man, for your time this evening, man. It's been awesome. This is great. A lot of people are going to love this one for sure. And like I told you before, while you're over there, man, Race, if you ever want to get a weekend and go down to Valencia, you're more than welcome to stay in my spot, man. You're more than welcome to stay in my spot. Yeah, but man, I'm wishing you much success. Continue your success there in Man Racer. And God permitting, when you get back stateside, I'll be able to see you again this summer. Maybe we can get some more wins in.
Man. Another 7-0 day.
Yeah, no question. 7-0, baby. But I want to thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Luke Maye a hand.
Thanks, man.
And for those who are listening, make sure you subscribe to the Carolina Conversation. And also, when you're not supporting Carolina basketball, please support the Old Dominion women's basketball as we're off to a 2-0 start, led by great head coach and Delisha Milton-Jones. We would love your support, and it's some great basketball. But thank you for listening to the Carolina Conversation, and we'll see you the next podcast. Thank you.